Hi ladies, welcome back to the feminine universe. I'm so happy to have you here. We hear a lot about privilege these days, and there are so many different types of privilege in this world. We're familiar with wealth privilege. We know being born into wealth or becoming wealthy comes with privileges in just about every society. There's height privilege. I hear this especially from men, that height tends to translate into being viewed as more competent, more powerful, and even more attractive. There's also age privilege. If you're too young, you supposedly don't know anything yet and don't have enough experience to speak on certain matters. Then on the other hand, as people get older, they can start to feel overlooked and pushed aside. And of course, almost everyone knows about pretty privilege, where people give special treatment and attribute all sorts of positive traits and intentions to people who they deem attractive. But I think there's a lesser known privilege that may be even more powerful than pretty privilege, and that's feminine privilege. I think feminine privilege is so powerful because it's something we are in control of. This form of privilege also doesn't expire. It stays with you at any age, long after your quote-unquote prime. And whereas certain beauty standards only apply in certain places, you can take feminine privilege pretty much anywhere. I wanted to take the time out to really talk about the importance of this privilege, because sometimes it is knowingly or unknowingly the secret to how so-called plain Janes can run circles around the most gorgeous women. I saw the perfect example of this in a show I binged recently with my sisters on Fox called The Cleaning Lady.
All this time, I've kept things sexy and fun, and you still had to sneak around with her. A cleaning lady of all people. You love the way she looks at you when you do these things for her. When you are her hero.
Now, this example is in regards to men, but it does apply to every part of life, where sometimes we amp up one area thinking that will give us all the results without realizing it's actually a combination of things needed to get the best results. And the thing that we're taught is the end all be all or the most important thing isn't always all there is to it. So today we are going to break down exactly how to master and unlock your feminine privilege. It's a simple formula with 3 easy steps. There are absolutely overlaps here in things we've spoken about and in the steps themselves, but there are also unique elements to each step, and it's the combination of all 3 that really unlocks this form of privilege. So let's break it down. The first step we want to take in this formula is to max out our pretty privilege. This doesn't mean going out and changing anything we've been given genetically. It just means doing everything in our power to look our absolute best. You ladies know all the things we've talked about. Our hair, our skin, our nails. We've talked at length about being our most attractive selves. Basically, we want to make sure that there is nothing detracting from our physical appearance that will make it difficult for our other qualities to be noticed. Maxing out our pretty privilege also serves sort of like a filter through which everything else we do will be seen and obviously viewed more positively. The second component we want to work on is being well kept. Someone can be stunning but not well kept. They can have awesome genes passed down from their parents, great bone structure and proportionate features, but still have a terrible haircut or yellow teeth or rumpled, wrinkled clothing, bitten down nails, or dirty shoes. Someone can also be extremely stylish or very trendy, but not give off a well-kept vibe. Some of the most popular trends today are about intentionally looking distressed and not looking polished. So this component is more about refinement. Looking polished, well-groomed, and well-kept is a conscious decision. We also know that being refined and well-kept is not just about how we keep our face and our clothing. It's about how we keep everything in our lives. How do we keep our minds? Is yours full of positivity, progress, and growth, or negativity and bitterness? Are we absorbing just celebrity tea, or are we getting into current affairs, knowing about events in our area, maybe a new language? Because whatever it is that's going on inside of you is what will spill into conversations and interactions with others. It's also about how we keep our bodies. Would you say your body looks like an amalgamation of good choices? Is it reflecting regular physical activity and mostly good food? And we can't forget the kind of company we keep. If we hang with vulgar, rude, confrontational types, it will either be understood that we're the same way, or that we're at least comfortable with or approving of such behavior. Now, the last and arguably the most important component we must employ to unlock feminine privilege is feminine behavior and mindset. This really is the secret ingredient. There are women who are extremely pretty who do not enjoy feminine privilege. There are well-kept women who are polished and well-read and have etiquette training and yet still do not receive feminine privilege. The secret to the feminine privilege formula is adding the feminine behavior and mindset. It's incorporating things like softness, being willing to receive, actively bringing peace, and setting your boundaries. Also, don't forget that a huge part of the feminine mindset is strategy. I know I say this a lot, but strategy is a must for this lifestyle. Think about Cleopatra. It's known that she wasn't what was considered traditionally attractive at the time. Her ability to strategize was actually one of her greatest strengths. In this context, we don't go into situations unprepared, and we make sure we're not the ones being duped. The strategy of learning how people work and knowing how to move in certain situations, implementing things people may not experience on a day-to-day basis, and helping people fall in love with how they feel about themselves when they're around you. Those are things that have nothing to do with how pretty or how refined you are, but when combined with those things, you can create a whole new lane of privilege for yourself. So, while we've touched on some of this previously, what I really want to stress today is the importance of the combination, because sometimes we can get so caught up in developing just one of these areas, whether that is our appearance, our refinement, or mastering feminine behavior, that we let some of the other components slip through the cracks a little bit. So I want to make it really clear that it's the combination that really makes this privilege work, because though each of these components has pros even when used on their own, they also have cons that can only be combated by matching them up with the other components in this formula. For example, if you do max out your pretty privilege and become the most beautiful version of yourself you can become, you will absolutely receive preferential treatment, and almost everything you do will be viewed through a positive light. Like I said, it's kind of like a filter in life. But if this is all you have on its own, people may be drawn to you for the wrong reasons. You may be somewhat stereotyped as the pretty but dumb caricature, and after a while, if that's all you have to offer 3, 6, 9, 12 months into knowing you, you will seem shallow and uninteresting, which is why sometimes we see extremely pretty people who have an easy time pulling people in, but a hard time keeping them around. We also see extremely beautiful people who don't know their worth and set their boundaries, and therefore get treatment way below what they deserve. If you focus on refinement, you will be seen as classy and just a cut above, and therefore you'll be seen as someone to impress. it will be clear that you take yourself at least somewhat seriously, and so most people will treat you accordingly. Having refinement is kind of like being that teacher or that boss who you know you can't just present things any which way to. People will know they have to come correct and bring their A game. But refinement on its own, when you're not developing your other qualities, can make you seem very stuffy or stiff and boring, like you don't know how to let your hair down and have a little bit of fun. And in the most extreme cases, even a little elitist when you have none of the charm and allure that are brought in by the other 2 points in this formula. And lastly, if you solely focus on the feminine behavior and mindsets, you will be seen as a warm, welcoming presence, but without the other 2 components of beauty and refinement to balance it out, you might take on a very maternal role, because a lot of the feminine behaviors, especially the front-facing feminine behaviors like softness and nurturing and warmth and bringing peace, can have very maternal qualities. And even as you develop the feminine mindset and strategy, that might just put you in the position of being someone who people want advice from and people want help strategizing with, but not necessarily someone people want to be involved with if that's the only component you bring to the table. So I just want to make sure we all understand the importance of all 3 of these components working together to actually unlock the full feminine privilege. So I just wanted to take some time and break down the exact combination for tapping into and unlocking this feminine privilege, and discussing why I think feminine privilege can be even better than pretty privilege alone. So we want to max out our pretty privilege, be well kept and refined, and implement the feminine behavior and mindset. If you want to learn or refresh your memory on ways to be more feminine or the privileges that come with the enhanced feminine lifestyle, be sure to watch these videos. Until next time, ladies, stay feminine, stay focused, and have fun.